Hello, 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 it's Crafty Chris, another Thursday night Scrap Your Scraps. Tonight we're going to make some, use up some of our old journal spots and tags and flags and frames and attachers and fussy cut leaves and different flowers. And we're going to make some spring embellishments to put on our pages. So they're going to be random. They're not necessarily going to be, you know, 6 of one and all matchy-matchy. But this is a way that you can put together a nice little collection of what's the word I'm looking, collaged things to accent your pages. And the theme is going to be spring. Now, having said that, I'm really not aware of what things are really spring flowers in here, so I'm going to try to keep it to spring, but if it ends up summer, then that's fine too. Some of these might, I don't know, maybe be summer, maybe be spring. I don't know. They look like pansies to me, or maybe poppies, but I've never seen a blue poppy. So anyway, we'll give it a shot and see how we do. So the first thing I'm going to go and look through is my little containers. You've seen these containers before if you've watched my organizational skill thing. I've got a container of frames, and I have a container of small journal spots and tags and flags and a whole bunch of other things, and I just keep them in my drawer in these little containers and use them as much as I can. So I am just going to pull out a couple of these larger frames. The smaller tags and frames and flags we could look through at the same time for color and spring-like things. Now this to me looks more like summer. That might be a little springish. Maybe we'll have 2 so that we can coordinate on a page. These are all green ones that look a little more fallish. Oops. I'll put those right side up so the next time I'm in here I can look inside. Don't want them upside down. Let's see. That is an arrow. It's more summerish. Perhaps. Now, these are things I stamped that were octagons. That's cool. I've forgotten about those. Okay, so these guys might be the base of something. They're kind of pinky, spring-like. And here, that's more summery to me, so we'll put that aside. Orange is more summery. Maybe we'll take these last 2 with the purple and the blue. So let's just start my piles here. Move a few things around. There we go. Maybe we'll keep that too. So this is going to go back in. These are kind of summery looking, so we'll put those back in there. Might be able to get away with this kind of thing on a springy type group of stuff. And literally I'm just going through here. That's kind of springy. That's brown. I don't really like brown for spring. Let's see. Ta-da. That's orange and turquoise, but it kind of looks springy to me. And there's another little flag. Oh, what was that? Oh, that's cool, but not for springy. Not springy, don't really feel springy. These kind of feel springy. That feels springy. Black and white tags are fine, but I think I would want to put those on like a black and white thing. But I was kind of making a point for it to be black and white. That might work. I have a lot of these where I've kept the outside frames of things, but we don't need those. That's a little too fallish. Red. There's a pinky one. I might keep that one. Gray. black, orange. Too dark. Now this doesn't mean the rules have to be the same for everybody. That I might squeeze in there. It's got some variety of color. Pink and black, white. There's another one of those, but I think I have enough of those. I might take that frame. That's brown. That's kind of a pinky. Oh, that might work too. Alrighty. You don't want any more of those. What do we got here? Light blue. That might work. Not really. Not really. That might work. Maybe that. Too dark. That might work. Too dark. Whoops. No. That might work. And that's a little dark. This might work. Oh, daffodils are that color, I guess. A little bit of flowery texture there. That's small. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of pale. That's kind of pale. It's a little more wintry looking. Numbers. I might throw that in there. I might take the pink one for this. So I'm going to cut this and take the pink one. Take that pink one. This brown one can go back in. Oh, I like that lime green. And there's another turquoisey color. And that's it. So now I'm going to put these bigger guys back in here. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to use all of these. It's just a place to start. So that was my flags and tabs collection. Oh, geez, it's getting warm. It was cooler earlier, and now it's getting warm, and I'm getting hot. Alrighty. Let's get back to the screen here. Alright, attachers. They're fun. So this is anything that attaches stuff. These are more like clips, but these are paper clips. These are kind of cute. Maybe I'll use those. Got a lot of pinny things. So I have little hearts. That might be cute. I have some roses. I don't think they're very spring-like. These might be okay. Those might be okay. Those are a little dark. Oh, where did those go? Sorry, just found a little pile that must have fallen out. I think I'll take that. And that. Oh. And the rest I think are just a little too dark. Maybe I might, oh, that's got a snowflake on it. So we'll avoid that. Now don't put these back in the drawer, because when you're finished making and creating, you're going to have to put everything back into their boxes of what you don't use. Now, I'm going to spill out this. Too dark. These guys are dark. I'm just going to trim this down because it doesn't fit as nicely into my container. Alrighty, and these are too dark. These are green leaves. I think I might try those. And the roses are too dark. I like these guys in the blue and the white. That's kind of fun in the white. Maybe a couple of natural ones of these guys just because they're easy to use. I only saw one of those, so I'll bring another one out. And we have hearts. We have one of those, so I'll bring another one of those out. And maybe the lighter green ones here and here. And these light green ones, they're cool too. Yeah, I think that's it. So I'm just going to push everything back into my container. And because I'm using pins, I'm going to do it with the lid of my container so I don't actually hurt myself. Oh, found another paper clip. That is a white one, so I'm going to put that there. And when I get ready to actually put things together, I'm going to have them in little piles. I just dropped a whole bunch of things on the floor. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll cut this out of the video. Okay, so there's one thing that I found. What's that? Okay, that's fine. Anything else? Nope. Alrighty. So that's my attachers, and that's going to just be put aside because I'm sure I'm going to put a few of my attachers back. Now, small journal spots, and this is all the base stuff that I'm going to use for the base of things. And I have some weird kind of things that have been sitting around on my desk because I haven't had any time to put them away. So maybe I'll throw that in there, and this I'll put with the other stuff that eventually have to be put away. So there's a nice base for something. That's a good base for something. Let's see what we have out. Now these things are colorable. So I can color them in with markers. I'm just going to take a couple of the larger ones. This actually is a nice one for stacking. So let's put those over there. These are kind of small. That one might work. These guys might work. That's actually a frame. Interesting enough. So that should go over there. And then I have some of these chalkboard things. I might put a couple of those in the pile because you never know how I might be able to use them. And then I have some of these guys. These are a little bit smaller, but I might be able to use a couple of them. Now, this one is an outline, which I can use with paper. Arrows and dates, maybe, but remembering color. These are a little too dark. Now these guys are plain white, so I may want them to put words on. A couple of those. And what else do we have in here? Has to be a decent size. That might work, but it's red, so I'm going to say no. This has got blue and brown. No. That's green. I don't really see anything that jazzes me in this pile right now. Let's see what else we have here. That's a bit dark. These are outlines, but I can use them. Won't use that. I might use that. Might use that. Too dark. I have this circle. A couple of these circles. Might use those. And what do we have here? That looks more fallish. Might get away with that. It's a little more summery though. Alright. And that's an interesting shape, but let's see what else is here. Those guys on the bottom. Those guys on the bottom. Just trying to keep the bigger ones so they don't get crushed. These guys on the bottom. one. Once you get them out, you got to figure out how to get them all back in again. Alrighty, that looks good. And these are the last little bits I'm going to go through. Not really. Not really. Maybe the green one. Maybe the yellow one. That might work too. That might work too. The rest are pretty small. Because right now I'm just looking for bases. Now I may dig back into that for some interesting frames and things to use in the compilation, but right now I think that's pretty much it. Right, now let's get this guy in there, these guys on top. I need to go sideways too. There we go. So those guys are good to go. Alright, now let's look at some frames. That one's too small. But you can always build on the corner of frames, which is very cool. Something like this, which is very contemporary, probably not. This is kind of a little bit more summery. These again are fairly contemporary, but this one has good coloring. I might be able to do something with that. Got a couple here I might be able to work with. Maybe. And these ones are very small, so I think I might avoid those. And I know I have bigger ones in here of those. This is more summery to me. That could be, that's too small. Maybe. That's a little too flashy. Now, these are cards. Just cards. No, I don't think that's the style I'm going for. These are going to be a little more delicate. Now I can always use a tag or a die cut as well. So there's something I could paint and create. And I have a couple of circles that I can do, maybe a wreath type technique. This again could be used, but it's a little small, so I'm going to avoid that. I can use that frame, it's a nice size. And then we have these circles, which maybe I can use them all together and build out from that. Photo frame, these are better just left, well, although I could put something on one side of it. No, I'm going to leave that for another day. Too geometric. This now I might use. It's kind of the right color. Maybe. And this is just a large wooden frame. But I don't think I want to play around with that right now. Okay, here's some more frames. Now this one is already a wreath, which could just be an accent. And that's a little, well, those are okay too, so I should play around with those. So these frames that have been cut out of dies look pretty cool. And then here is a double frame that I could do some kind of a unity thing with. And here's some interior frame bits that most people throw out, but those could be used as backgrounds, and I can color those. So we have a number of things. I think this is just a little too thin, although you never know. You just never know. Okay, that I'm not going to use today. This might work. This is already a wreath, which I could build on. This is glittery. I could add that to something larger. That's very vintagey, so I think I'm going to say no to that. This is yellow. Okay, well, I might use that. And then I have these frames that are already very ornate. So I think I'm going to leave those alone. I have these big wooden, I might try doing something with that even though it's black. And these are too dark and too geometric. That's too dark. We have a wooden tags. I think I'm going to say no to those. And then I have all kinds of small little frames, but I think I'm going to say no to these two. They're just a little too many little bitty bits. Now, this is kind of cool. This is one of those resin frames. I think I'm going to say no to that. Well, maybe not. And then we have some frames that are clear in the center, that made out of plastic, but I don't think those will work. And that's really pretty. And I can maybe add that to something. And these are too dark. And these are little shadow boxes. So I have ideas for those, but not for what I'm doing today. Alright, so little bit of showing you how I pick things and the kinds of things I think about when I'm picking them. And we got quite a bit out of that pile of things. So we're going to put this aside because we're not going to definitely do all of those. And now we've got flowers. So these are all leaves. I tried to separate them into flowers and leaves. And these are packages of flowers. So I think I'm going to hold off on those for now. I'm going to play around with these. These are kind of bits and bobs that are just left over. Now I know roses aren't really spring-like. They're more summer, and the same with carnations. So I don't know. I might do something with those. And these are all kind of funky, springy colors. And these guys are, no, maybe not. These guys are kind of a summery blue, but they might look okay as a pop of color in something. And I want to try and use these up, but I don't think I'm going to use them all. So there's my flowers. I'm going to pull out some leaves and let's get started. Alrighty, so I'm going to put my frames in one place and I'm going to order them large, medium, and small. Move these guys down here. So we've got large, medium, 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 small, small, medium, small. This just helps us to pull things. That's going to be small, that's going to be medium, small, small. I want to pull out this circle because I think I can do something with these circles. So we're just going to put those in their own little pile in the middle of the large. And maybe some of these wreaths doing the same thing. And then these guys are all kind of small. And this guy is really flimsy, but I might be able to do something with him. And that's small. And this is kind of an interesting. And this is a medium. And then these guys are, that's kind of a small as well. These are small. And these are embellishments and tags that we can add. All right. These guys, again, are things we can add. And this is sort of small, small, small. These are all kind of smaller things we can use. And this guy's going to go in medium. All right. flowers we're going to start with there, and then we have our attachers, and we have our tags and things. Okay, so we're going to have a very small space to work in, but I don't mind because we're working on, now that's small. We're working on small things. So there's the taggy things. Here's the attachers. I was out shoveling, so I'm kind of tired. Attachers, oh sorry, taggy bits. And these guys are all attachers. Pull up my taggy bits out from under here. All right. So the trick with doing these kinds of things is to not glue anything down until you're done playing with them. Because in order to see everything built up together, and you're going to need to use your phone for photographing this while you're building them. So I want to start, I'm going to take all these white circles out and see what sizes we have. Looks like we have small and large. So if I did something like this, where I have a small and a large together, and I'll have them going in 2 different directions, and I'm just going to play with them by using my mat. Oh, helps if I'm in the scene. Hold on, guys. Let me move up here so you can see better. I'm going to put my large frames down at the bottom corner here. That's all my attachers. So, a little bit. So I'm using these 2 guys. So that is going to be 1, and this is going to be maybe on the other side. I don't know how big the center bit is going to be yet, but I'm going to start throwing things at it. So we have a white base to work with, and now we need some sort of a small anchoring bit that isn't a circle, and actually would be better if it's angular. Okay, what if I did something like that on that one? And what do we have here? I think I need something a little bit more solid. I'm going to play with something like that on this side. Now this guy is going to go through the center, I think. There we go. Get it a little more centered. This one is more towards the bottom. And let's see. Separate these flowers so that I have something to play with. Now, the trick with flowers is you can see that there's a difference in the color between this blue background and this flower, so that wouldn't be one that I would play with there. However, the pink flower seems to be just fine. This, maybe, maybe not. Might go with that better. And what else do we have here? We have this, which is kind of cute. There we go, maybe something like that. This looks like it needs a compilation of flowers, so I'm just going to see if I can start building. So this maybe can go across the bottom, and this might go don't like that, but I like the little pink one for going across the bottom, so that I think we can use. like that. All right, so that's a start. Now let's see what else we have in here. On this one, I'm just wondering if I clip this maybe onto here inside the wreath. You know what, that's just a little too three-dimensional, so we're going to put that aside for another thing. But I do want to pull in something, maybe a heart. Let's try a heart. So if we have a heart there, okay, so we're playing around with that. Just a touch of pink on that one. Let's see what we have. We have a series of these guys that might look interesting hanging from here. I need another different color going in between. Let's see, maybe something like that. So there's two ribbons and a bit of hanger. This little pink flower. And let's see, we can play with some tabs. Let's see what else we have here. Like I said, this is sort of a game. You have to kind of just move things around to see what you like. That's a bit too peachy. This tag. Losing the circle part of that. Let's see what else we can come up with here. Put that under there. Something like that. Maybe I'll put this little flower down there just to draw that pink in again. Okay, I don't like this, but I'm okay so far with this. It's building nicely. Whoa. It's the only thing, when you don't stick stuff down, it does move around if you're not careful. Come out there. Alrighty. Let's see what else we have. And I'm just kind of moving things around, seeing what strikes my fancy, seeing what might add something to the mix. Bring this down a little. Might be able to tuck that under. That pulls more pink there. And here we go. Alrighty. Oh, these guys are bases. Sort of medium-sized bases, which I moved somewhere right there. That's a small one. All right, here's another one of those blue flags. For some reason, I'm liking those blue flags with this that's going on here. And I might be able to stick that under there a little more. I might even tighten up this circle a tad. There we go. Starting to like the way that's looking. Of course, it's not straight, but you'll get the idea. Alrighty. Okay, so I am looking for other things. Alrighty. So, what's happening here? There's the roses. I think these kind of go together on their own, so I don't want to add that into anything. And I'm liking what's going here, but I need something else to put behind this flower. Unless I colored this background, but I don't know if I want to do that yet. Okay, so I have these frames, and that would fit on there perfectly and give it a little bit more weight. I just have to decide what kind of scrap color I would put in there. So I'm going to get my scrap pieces of paper out. And I'm not going to take my mini scraps because this is, oh, well, you know what? I might be able to do that. No, because they're all under an inch. So this is, let's see, that's just an inch. I really want something that's an inch or more. And something that is going to give a little bit of impact behind that flower, but not diminish the flower. So I don't know if I've shown this to you before. This is my little handy dandy Timothy's drawer I got for Christmas. Excuse me, I got 2 of them, and put them one on top of the other. Now I'm thinking about this kind of light pink pattern underneath with this sitting on top. I think I like that, so we're going to start with that. And I'm just going to have this on the floor beside me in case I need it. Alrighty, so here's how you handle these things. You just trim around the outside of them. Like this, like so. And these are rounded, so I'm going to give that round. It's fussy cutting for sure. Okay. I happen to like fussy cutting. I haven't always liked it, but as I'm getting older, I'm finding that it's a really easy thing to do in front of the television set, because I usually just have the TV on to dull my brain at the end of the day. So this at least gives me some concrete thing to do. So now I'm taking it off its backing. And all I simply do is find a place where it will fit nicely And I can even line it up along the edge of the paper so that I don't take too much paper. There we go. And I am going to actually chop it down this way so that I can, first let's adjust that edge. There we go. So I'm going to chop it down that way so that I can put one whole piece in my thin box of, put it this way so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm lining up my cutting blade. It's tricky when you're just using small pieces of paper, but here we go. So I'm going to go the whole length so that I can put this piece now, because it has a really nice kind of hazy green on the back, and put this in my smaller set of cut papers. And then I can trim this off. Just make sure I don't take the ends off. And this piece of paper is under an inch, so, but it's over 6 inches, so it's going to stay in my smaller inch and under borders, because if they're 6 inches and smaller than, if they're an inch or smaller and less than 6 inches, or 6 inches and less, then they go into a different container for small stuff. And if they're more than 2 inches by 12, or more than 2 inches wide, and I can make them into mats and things, then they go in a totally different container for mats. So I got everything all organized. So you can see now I'm just trimming all this stuff out around the edges because I rounded them. And making sure to trim right against that edge that I cut, because I know I didn't get it cut completely straight. There we go. And there's my little flag now. So I'm just going to get rid of my garbage. And now this can sit on something and it gives a bit more weight to it. So this one I'm going to start to fill in a little bit. I'm going to get this guy, this little taggy guy. It's got some pop stuff on the back, and I'm going to center it in here, more or less. Alright, so there's a nice bulky tag. I am going to hang these three guys off of one of the circles, so it gives me some stability there. So, and I can do that without having to and what am I going to use for adhesive? I think I'm going to use regular adhesive for this. So I have my regular adhesive here, just putting a little bit across the top. Alright, and I'm putting it slightly to the left, and it will go over center because it's long. And then this guy, which is similar, I'm going to put a tiny bit of adhesive on that one too. Oh, my adhesive just went all backwards. So, when you have this happening, it's usually because your room is dry and the adhesive is kind of wild and untamed and not stuck to the plastic. And you can find that it will, when you're rolling it, it will fold back on you, and that's because of it being slightly dry in your studio. So you want to make sure that you try to keep your studio at a decent temperature. Now, I'm going to cross this over just a little bit. And I may want to change that positioning. I think I will. So I'm going to pop that off. I'm going to find this guy, and I'll keep this piece for the next project. And now I'm going to stick that sort of in the center. A little bit off the center, I think. So you can see that there's a tag that goes in. All right. And then I'm going to go back now and stick that all back on to the center. There we go, like that. All right, so we're started. And now I think, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that piece, but I'm going to crisscross these borders and glue them. And I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of white glue. Or this is actually not white glue even, it's clear glue. And so I want to make sure that my flags are lying down and that the bottoms of both my circles on this particular piece are touching. And then I'm just going to go in underneath. Oops. And put a tiny bit of glue there. It's a little fussy. All right. So make sure I'm lining that up again. Now I've stuck those together. This is fast drying glue, so it won't take too long. Now I'm going to put my pin in, put it back to upside down. Now this, I like the edge on this, but I need to do something in here. And I don't know what it is that I want to do. And this has to all sort of be lining up at the bottom. I think what I might do is get a little bit of ink or maybe some spray and just splatter that. That's what I'm going to do. So, my splat box that I made. Splat boxes are just boxes that you have that are a good size for whatever you're working on. I have multiple cardboard boxes in different sizes. This one is such a small piece. Actually, I'm going to mask the edges on this because I don't want to, I want to have those edges not get color on them because I like the idea of them being white. And so I just mask it with some, this is washi tape that isn't very sticky, and I've found that it's been great for masking and for using for die cuts. I'm going to pull it off screen while I line it up because I can't see. Oops. And it does stick to everything until you get everything sort of positioned properly and can pull it up. And then you can splat it. All right, so I'll show you now. I've got all the edges are now nicely protected, so I've pushed down to make sure that they're not going to get any ink in them. I'm just placing everything inside. This is my Mica Stain. It is a Ranger Distressed Mica Stain, and it's called Winterberry, and it's from this last Christmas new colors that came out. So I'm going to take a little spritz of that and just make sure I'm aiming in my box and just kind of let it do its own thing. So this has mica in it, which is like a shimmery thing. And you can see it there. It's just got a little bit of shimmer. And I am just going to, I'm going to check my samples and see if it will change color. So every time I get a new ink or a new color, I make a little sample of it, and it shows me whether or not it will be affected by water, because I do it dark to light so I can see the range, and then I splatter it with water to see if anything changes. And Winterberry does not change with water, so I am not going to even try that. So that's fine. I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to tap off the wet stuff on a damp paper towel. And the reason I do it on a damp paper towel is because I collect leftover ink. Leftover ink is really great to use in your junk journals. So what I do is I just spray a paper towel, and then just make sure it's not soaking wet. So I squeeze it all together after a couple of sprays, just so it's damp, because I don't want to affect anything. I just want to pick up the ink. And then I go in and I pick up the ink. And then over time, I pick up more and more and more and more ink on my projects. And then I end up with something that looks funky, like this. And then this becomes part of a junk journal, or even a layout page or a card. And I spread all the layers, and I have multiple pieces. So that's just a little side conversation. Okay, so now that's gonna be ready for me to use. Now, when you take it off, you have to be very careful you don't rip your under thing, because your tape may not be as easy to remove as mine. And you keep this. Just make sure with your paper towel that you've got it wiped clear and there's no wet ink. And you keep that for your next project, because there's nothing wrong with this tape. It just needs a little bit of wipe and you can use it again. And sometimes by placing it on your hand to wipe it, you actually make it even less tacky, which is better for you. Okay, just stick it on my hand. So you can see that more ink is coming off when I do this. And you just want that so that it doesn't get on your projects. Oopsie. There we go. So there's our piece. One last wipe. Okay. And then before I move on, I just make sure I find something that is like on the inside maybe, where the ink has not gone through, and then I just make sure I wipe any residue that may be on my fingers, because you don't want to transfer that into your next project. Alright, so look how pretty that is. Now, let's see how that's going to look behind this. Oh yeah. Now, I get to decide if I want that angle. Oh, I think that looks beautiful. Isn't that pretty? And I think I'm going to pop dot this just a little bit. I'm going to get some thin foam dots, if I can find them. Come on, here's my thin dots. Thin? I may not have any thin. I was thinking thin because then it just doesn't stand too tall and make it too deep for your projects. Okay, that's crazy. I know I have thin dots somewhere. All right, so I don't have thin dots. I'm just going to use regular dots. And I'm going to play with where I'm going to use them. Open up a little section there that's closer to me. And I'm going to make sure that that white edge hangs below, and these two guys go on it like that. So I'm going to need a dot there and a dot there. So well, I won't need one there, but I'll need one there. And I'm just going to put a little finger mark where the other two dots are going to go. So my finger mark is there, making sure that I can get my dot hidden. The first one is going to go there. And then my other finger mark is there. So my next dot is going to go there. And there's only the only point to having dots is if you have paper underneath, because when you go to put this on your layout, you'll use a different adhesive basically. Okay, so there's my 3 dots. Taking the dots off, or the backings off, the dots. All right, and lining this up on the edge. Keeping everything, oops, so something like that. All right, and then this guy, I'm just going to adhese flat because the flowers are already pop dotted. So I'm just going to take some, I think I'm going to use glue for this because it's a very narrow place that I'm going to actually, so I just wiggle some glue onto my piece. Just put it aside for a second. And this has a little lead time. Make sure my flower's in the right direction. And I think I want to put it right there. And I'm just going to put it attached. There we go. And there we have the beginnings of this. Now, whoops, sometimes this happens. So what I was saying is you just wipe off the tip of your glue. And this also is if you have low or high pressure, sometimes you get glue popping out of your glue gun or glue container. Now I normally store mine on its side, but if I'm using it, I sometimes just hook it into the glue holder, but that also puts extra pressure on it. So I think because it seems to not want to do that right now, I'm just going to lay it there, and in that way the pressure will be more consistent. So the next step is going to be putting this guy in. Alrighty, so now let's just, I wanted to stick this in somewhere, and I think I'm going to stick it right. I'm going to cover up the nice inking. It pretty much covers all the inking, so we're just going to put a little bit of tape runner on the front side, stick it here, and that just kind of anchors that a little bit. Now here, I want to do something. And I think I'm just going to stick these simple little flowers right across the top. I'm going to put that, because that's still sticky, I'm going to put that on the back there. Alrighty. Just realizing something. I think I need to bring this up a little bit because you cannot see the tip. You'll just put that a bit to the side. There we go. And now this is not very obvious. So I think I'm going to take a tiny bit of something. What can we do? I'm going to put some Mica Stain just along the edge here. Now don't run your Mica Stain along the actual edge, like fan it down on an angle, because if you do straight across, you can cut the feathers of the brush. So you don't want to cut the feathers of the brush. So if you're just putting a very thin edge, you're trying to feather it down. You mostly want that edge to be on the top. And then it's hard to see, but oops, I just put my finger in it. What will happen is you will, at some point, be able to see that sparkle along the edge. And then I'm just going to put that right back where I got it. And then that gray edge, there is a slight gray hue to the edge of that. And I can do that also to the larger one, just where it's visible. Stick my finger underneath. There we go. And that just kind of separates everything. And then this guy we're going to put like that. There we go. A little bit of sticky there, but I'm not going to worry about it. Alrighty. And then, getting my sleeves up. What sentiment would I like to put there? So, I don't think I'm going to put the sentiments on because I think you would need time to sort of think about what that might be. Oh, you're a little crooked. There we go. So, you can have a sentiment hanging over the top here. Or you can have a sentiment. And what I like to do is get a very fine marker and just go along the edge, about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe even a 32nd of an inch, whatever. Just freehand draw. Sorry, I'm out of screen again. Just freehand draw an edge. Okay, I did that really badly. And look at the point of your pen, not at the edge of your paper. Because if you look at the edge of your paper, you'll go off your paper. But if you look at the point of your pen, you'll stay on the paper much better. Okay, so there is going to be my sentiment. Oops, I forgot. Nope, that's the wrong side. There we go. And I do not know where I'm going to put that. Depends what project I use it for. It could be put under here, across the top of the circles. It could come out this way, out from the circles. So there's a number of different ways you can use that tag, and that's that sentiment space. So I'll leave that up to you. Let's get this last one done here that we did. Oh, and another thing, Do I want to put some more flowers or some more greenery in there? I can put some more greenery in there. Or what if I put some greenery there? I could anchor that down. Maybe something like that. I like the greenery, but it's not jazzing me. What if I did that? And then maybe did that. There, it's kind of connected to something there. I do that. Think about having more greenery there. So you kind of lose, well, you're losing one side of the flag. Actually, don't mind that. It kind of gives it a little more something, something. Okay, so let's just get the glue out. Pop that in. Don't need a lot of glue. Then the test is trying to get it back in. So just a little tiny bit of glue. Just to stick up under there. And gives it a little more weight. Okay. Actually quite liking that. And I think I'll stick that on with pop dots, and I'll just write in pen. Gotta make sure. There we go. These two will go here. I'm going to show some of that green. Okay, and then a little pop dot underneath this guy here. There we go. And there's one of our finished little embellishments. And you can go in and add more leaves or add more glitter or anything like that. Just make sure that if you're using a die that has stitching on it, like this one does, that you make sure that the stitching is the right side up, because on the other side it doesn't look so pretty. It looks pokey and sticky. Okay, now these guys we're going to go centered. And if I'm not mistaken, I liked the way this looked with a wide circle. And that kind of sitting in the middle. And these guys were centered. Alright, so I'm going to take a little tiny piece of removable tape. Actually, I'll take a little piece of this. Just to stick down my label so I can kind of lay things out around it. And I'm going to stick it centered. So then I can get everything centered around it, because this one is the one that I want to have centered. There we go. Okay, so that's more or less centered. And we can, oh, there's some fuzzy stuff on there. And I like having this one closer to the edge. Oh, come on. Closer to the edge. So it's almost touching the circle, but you've got maybe 1/8 of an inch outside of the circle. So I'm going to put that on with a little bit of glue. Get that pin in there. Make sure my fingers aren't gluey. Make sure this is all centered. And that my glue is going to go on the cardstock, not on. There we go. So that one I like there. And then it's a matter of figuring out which way. If I want it out, if I want it close. I think I'm going to do it close. That gives us some play in here. So I'm going to have a little bit here. And then I am going to put some on the outer edges. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So that's 1/2 inch. My dog is impatient and wants me to come out. So you may hear the door rattling. That is her telling me that she didn't have enough fun out in the snow today. She wants more. Okay, there we go. I think I like that. Where is my, oh, so I'm going to just wipe this tip off. This tip is, there's a lot of pressure on my glue at the moment, which is not fun because it can be kind of messy. But as long as you have those stainless steel tips in there, it won't rust. And you can pull those out. They don't glue permanently in there because your glue is having an issue, so that's a good thing. Okay, so there we have blue. Right, now, if I'm not mistaken, I doubled this up. And I think I'm going to just pop that on there because I'm ready for it. And pop it on there. And I'm going to pop out this guy. Actually, just going to take a little powder across the top because I don't want that to stick. So I just got my powder. It's got baby powder, I think, in there. You can use baby powder, cornstarch, baking powder. You know you're ready when it doesn't stick to your fingers. And there we go. So I'm going to stick that in like that. Just push it down. And when I did that, it shifted. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. And it's not sticky because we took that stick off. And we had one of these coming out this side somewhere. So I'm just going to lift up my sticker. Put some of this across the top. So I just put a little adhesive across the top. Now I'm going to stick that underneath. And make sure that that's kind of similar. There we go. And then we have this little guy, this little sticker. We're going to add him down here. And he's sticky, so I should have unstuck him, which I can do right now. So you just put in a little powder on him so he doesn't stick. There we go. Yep, now he doesn't stick. All right, let's get this guy stuck back on there. There, that's kind of where we're at. Alrighty, now I think I want a journal spot that, oh, right. We had one of these pink guys sticking in there. So I'm just sticking that pin right into the foam that's under there. And that was the wrong color. There was a little pink flower, if I'm not mistaken, that I seem to have lost. Pink flower, where are you? Oh, there it is. And I think that was going to go down here. And it's three-dimensional, so that'll look cute there. There we go, a little bit of pink. Now, I'm going to take that little bit of sticky off the back. Now this is a sticker, so I'm just going to leave the back of the sticker on. We're not done yet. I need to add a little something. It's not the right green, not the right blue. It's not the right blue. Actually, what if I switch that for that? Stuck that right in there. Let me cut that plastic away so I can play a little better. And maybe I could find a little more of some kind of leaf that looks kind of super green, like that. So I can give it a bit of balance. That's the same thing. There's a little one that can go in there. So I think what I'm going to do is switch this around and put the little leaf going that way. And then I can put the bigger leaf going that way. And that complements that greenery. Alrighty. And these leaves are totally different. There's all different kinds of them, but I looked for the limey green ones because there was limey green already in these guys. So now I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue on that one. Don't need a lot because it's just going to stick right on that circle. And I might move this a tiny bit more that way. And you know what? Yeah, that should be okay. Whoops. And let's see how I wanted this. This is going to tuck right in here. And this is going to come right out from behind it. So that's where I'm going to stick that one. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to these leaves, which will make all the difference. And I think I'm going to put a little dot of glue there. So there's a bit more support. Nice thing is that quick dry glue pills up very quickly. I'm going to take this guy off and stick him sort of there. Okay. All right, now I have some of these bitty gems which I'm going to put in the center of those flowers. They just need a little something. Uh-oh. The package just ripped apart. All right. And I need a tweezer. So I think I'm going to use this one. And these are super tiny. Oops. There we go. One more. There we go. Just make sure they line up nicely. Perfect. Now, this I'm not liking so much, so let me bring that closer to you. So this is where the hole would have been to tie this tag onto something. And these two need to have some of that glitter repair like I did on the other one. So first of all, let's do that. We're going to glitter along the outside of the tag just to give it a bit of an edge that is different than the background. Okay, and we're also going to do that with the flags. So just kind of dragging that along the edge so that some of that glitter sticks to the upper surface. Gives kind of a grayishness to it. And it's very, very delicate, so it's kind of cool. It's not like your big, chunky glitter. Alrighty. Okay, so now, where did I put that last one? So this one, I am just going to take these leaves and kind of lift them up a little bit, curl them a tiny bit, just using my thumb. This one I can curl back the other way, because it's slightly different than those. And that's all, and I can curl up the edges of my flags. Okay, so that gives it a little bit of three-dimensional, a little more three-dimensional. Okay, so that's that one. And then on this one, I can curl up and under to create a three-dimensional leaf. You have to be careful though that you're not too hard on it, because otherwise you can rip it right off. You can just curl that edge. And then here I can do the same thing. Oh, maybe not, because I glued that down. Let's see if I can just get the edges curled up a little. And the flags, I can curl up the flags. All right, so there's where we're at with our second tag. All right, and I have no idea how long this video is so far, so I'm going to do one more, but this one I'm going to do with that really interesting frame. So the first thing I want to do is, I think I'm going to glitter the frame, because it's a little flat just in the craft color. So I think I'm actually going to glitter it with let's see, Stardust. No, I'm going to use a Stickles product, and I just have to see which one I'm going to use. I'm going to use Diamond. Diamond has a lot of green in it, but it also has like this reddish brownish color in it, and it works really well. So I'm going to steal my glue thing, and I'm going to keep it upside down. And now I need to have something that I can work on. So I want to keep the excess glitter glue. So I'm actually going to let this just kind of all get all crinkly. And I'm going to put this on top so that it's not like a tracing. And then I'm just going to rub, to get it started, there we go. I'm just going to rub a thin layer. The thing about Stickles, which is different than other products, is that it dries flat. So it dries with only the glitter shine. There's the emulsion that's holding it together just literally disappears. And it's only the actual filaments of glitter that remain after the fact. So it's a really good one to just spatter on things and to be able to kind of coat so that it's all over glittery. And like I said, you want a thin coat. The thicker you go, obviously, the longer it'll take to dry, but also it won't add any dimension. So there's no point doing it. Now, if you use a Nouveau drop, it's self-leveling, so yes, you'll have more of a, what do you call it, a three-dimensional effect. and you also have to handle it less carelessly than I'm handling this. You want to be precise in your making of your drops and lines and things, because otherwise it won't look so good. But with the stickles, it's really easy to just spread it all over. Now, if you find that you want to put on more stickles, once it's dried, you can apply more to make it more glittery or more even, or whatever you feel is not right with it. Personally, I like it being a little bit sketchy. So there's some dry part, unstickled parts and some stickled parts. So that doesn't worry me at all. And one thing I do try to do when I'm trying to dry these thinner layered ones, if I put it on thickly, which I normally don't because it's pointless and it's a waste of your stickles, I will let it dry overnight all by itself. But when I put it on thin like this, I just want to hit it with a heat gun. So I'm going to quickly do that, and I don't want you to, I'll explain how I'm going to hit it with the heat gun. So the heat gun, if I put it up close, I'm just going to melt it. So I'm actually going to hold it about 6 inches away and just keep moving it, and it's more like a warm breeze that will get it to set quickly so we can use it. Alrighty, so here we are back. I have my piece glittered, and it's not smooth glittered. There's some areas where there is no glitter and areas where there's lots of glitter, and I'm good with that because that just gives me a variety of twinkle. And then here's my paper towel. You can't really see it, but when I pull it apart, the sprinkle, the leftover glitter now is spread all over that one side. So I put that aside to dry. And when I'm picking up ink and things, because it's a glue as opposed to a powder, it will stick on the paper towel and it won't transfer into any surfaces that I'm cleaning up. All right, so this needs to be straightened out, but we're going to put together our little bit of a layout. So I have these roses and carnations, which I really like, and they're nice and tall. And I'm thinking that I need to see sort of a bouquet of these. Sort of crawling up the side of this window. I'm going to call it a window, and of course I'll trim it out. But I also feel like I need to have some greenery in there. So we're going to pull out our greenery again, and the greenery that's with this is a little bit more bluish. And if you notice, I've got some grayish, some bluish, some really blue. This just looks completely blue. And green and blue. So I'm just kind of looking for something that might blend in with what I have here between the dark green and the light green. And it's just to give it a little bit of pop. Now, you know what? I'm actually not liking those leaves. So what I can do is I can go in and really fussy cut this flower. And when you're fussy cutting, the best way is to move the paper, not your scissors. Allows you to be more fluid going around the corners. There we go. So I got rid of the leaves on that, and now I can play with just the flower. And I can play with leaves with these guys. So if I bring in some leaves here, let's see, we should probably use similar leaves. These leaves are just a little bit too big. So we're going to leave those leaves. And these are, they might be better for the rose because the rose has a spikier leaf. Which maybe this might be better. So maybe that might be good for that. These blue leaves are a little too blue. These guys have long and spiky leaves, so let's see if we can find some spiky leaves. These guys are a little spiky. Those are kind of spiky. So take that guy out of the way. I put the spiky guy coming out from this one. Okay, so there's one with spiky leaves. And let's see what else we have in here. This is like the big one, but it's smaller. And it might be better coming out the top. There we go, we have some greens. And now we want to put this one here-ish. And we want to have some spiky leaves on that one too. I gotta dig through a little bit. Here's some rose leaves. I'm going to try and stay with the same spiky leaves. These are just a bit too big. You can see all the different varieties of leaves that are in here. Try to keep the right sides up. Oh, what's this? Nope. Now, do they all have to have the same color green? Or can we add another hue of green in there? And of course I'm going to bend these so they will show up the flower a little bit more. Here's another set of spiky-ish. So maybe something like that. These come out of there a little bit more. And then this guy comes over here a little bit more. And of course we don't see the spines. One more run at the leaves. Let's see what we can do here. There's these long ones, but they're too big. I think that's it for choices. So I'm just going to leave all my leaves to the side. All right, now let's start with this first guy. And we want him to be at the top with the leaves behind it. So that can actually be like this. So we want to have that coming out the side, that coming out the top, and that sort of in the center of all that. So let's try and do that this way. Okay, so this is where you're going to need your glue. And we're going to get rid of this leaf here. And we want to make sure our stem gets secured. And then we're going to sort of place it like that, so we can see some leaf coming out and underneath, peeking out from behind. And then this one, we're going to have the bottom part here. And it's going to be coming out from the top. And I think we are going to have that stuck right along that edge. So let's put a little bit of glue right along that edge. That's going to be the main flower. And I'm just going to stick a little bit of glue right there. And right there. So that it is nice and secure. There we go. So there's our first flower. Then our next flower is going to come in underneath. It's going to have some greenery coming out the sides. So we're going to put a little bit of glue here. You can see how my glue is just kind of coming right out of the tube. And there we go. And then there's going to be a little bit coming out underneath. So I can hold that there. Just finish gluing all that. My glue is drip, drip, dripping. So I'm going to try and keep it in the same place so it just drips in one spot. All right, and then this is going to come angled. So there, at the bottom, and there. So I'm gluing, whoops, here and here. What a mess. Just attach all that glue to the same thing that I'm, okay, so we just wanted a bit there and a bit there. I actually think that might be too close. A bit there. There we go. Okay, and then we have our rose. And I have to decide which way I want my rose up. Have it up that way. And the rose is going to pretty much cover up. So we're going to put that there. And this is going to come out the side like that. And then that's going to sit there. Okay. Oops. There we go. And now I'm just going to trim off the excess stems that we don't need to see. Okay. Put the pin in this bottle because it's going crazy. There we go. Wipe up the glue. Alright, so here's what we have. A very flat. So I'm going to trim that back. Don't really need to see that. There we go. So we have our flowers there. Now, should be fairly dry. Okay, so now I am just going to take my finger and I am going to fold the flowers down where I can. Should have done this maybe beforehand. Give them a little bit of depth. There we go. And then I'm going to take the leaves and curl them upwards, and at the very tip I'm going to curl it back. So there's some motion in the leaves. So out, 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 and then at the very tip, back. And this little guy can just be pulled towards the front. And this one can be pulled towards the front. This can go to the front. And then at the tip, back. Pull to the front. And at the tip, push back. Pull to the front. And at the tip, push back. Pull to the front, and then at the tip, push back. And then the same here. these little tips at the bottom can all come out. And then it gives your flower this 3D effect. Okay, even though you have white around it and it's obviously a painted flower or a picture flower, it just gives it more life. All right, and now on this one, I want to see if there is a journal tag that I might like to see coming out from this. But I don't think there is. So we are just going to have our tag go across the bottom. But again, we're going to get our Mica Stain and we're going to pretty up the edges of that tag by dragging some of the Mica Stain along the edge, remembering not to cut. There we go. And I'm letting it get a little bubbly, meaning that it's not like a super smooth edge. I'm just letting it kind of flip and flit and land wherever. And then I can do the same over the surface of it. Get nice and wet. Just kind of put random dots. It's not as fluid as I would like it to be able to spot. There we go. And I'll show you what that does in just a moment. Okay, come back here. And I don't know if you can see it. Oh, there we go. We might have a bit of a better opportunity. You can see little dots there. And then, of course, you can see the glitter on the edges. So it looks like it's been splattered. It's much more apparent in person. And I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue at the edge here because it's going to tuck underneath the flower. There we go. Going to measure, kind of eyeball it so it looks about even. And then I'm going to hold it and go in with a big blob of glue and just put a little bit of glue on each of those spots just to hold it in place. Turn it over. Press it down. And there you have it. There's your other corner. Okay. All right. So I think I probably kept you long enough. It's been busy over here. Phones have been dinging and there have been some interruptions and whatnots. But I think that, I'm just going to get that glue out of there. I think that 3 is good for today, and we can do some more at another time. And so let me just remind you what those 3 are, and don't forget you need to clean up afterwards and get everything back in the proper storage. So maybe I'll take a piece of something. Here's a navy blue. Put a piece of something underneath so you can see them a little bit better. Oh, there we go. So there are our 3 tags or ephemera collections that we created today. All right. Okay, guys, it's been great to see you again. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Thursday. Bye.